By the time you reach 60 years old, your body may already have lost up to 30% of its muscle mass, and you might not even know it. You wake up, maybe feeling a little slower, a little weaker, chalking it up to just getting older. But what if I told you that what's happening inside you is far more dangerous than just aging? What if I told you your muscles, the very tissues that keep your body alive, stable and metabolically active, are quietly wasting away, and no one is warning you? Most people do not realize this is happening because it does not scream. It whispers. It hides in your slower gait, your decreased energy, your inability to climb stairs as fast as you used to. This is not just aging. This is a biological collapse, and the most tragic part, it is preventable. Welcome to the truth about sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss that is now affecting over 98% of people past 40 years old. That is not a typo. That is the real number. It does not discriminate between men and women. It does not care about how young you feel at heart. And while it starts subtly with tiny, almost invisible signs, by the time you notice it, it might already be stealing your vitality, your balance, your independence. It is not about being a bodybuilder. It is about maintaining the one thing that connects your brain to your bones, your food to your fuel, your movement to your meaning, muscle. And yet, despite the mountain of evidence, most doctors do not talk about it until it is too late. Why? Because medicine is set up to treat disease, not prevent it. But here, on this channel, we do not wait for sickness to act. We act to prevent. That is why you need to subscribe right now, because each week we bring you the truths you were never told. The health information that could change or even save your life. So before we go deeper, do not forget, subscribe now. This is not entertainment. This is empowerment. Now let us begin with the real problem: nutrition. Most people think they are eating well enough to maintain muscle, but are they? Ask yourself this: when was the last time you prioritized protein over carbs? When did you last think about leucine, the amino acid your muscles need most? Because your body is not just losing muscle because of age, it is losing it because of what you are not giving it. Sarcopenia is accelerated by diets that are low in essential amino acids, especially in older adults who absorb and utilize protein less efficiently. Meaning, the same meal that helped you build muscle at 20 years old barely maintains you at 60. And yet, most people continue to eat the same: toast in the morning, sandwiches in the afternoon, maybe some pasta at night. Carbohydrates dominate the plate, while protein, the building block of muscle, gets ignored. And it is not just about quantity, it is about quality. Are you eating complete proteins? Are you spreading them out through the day? Because your muscles need a constant signal, not a random overload. This is the truth no one is talking about. It is not just that we eat too little protein, it is that we eat it wrong. Muscle maintenance is not passive, it is strategic. And if you do not learn this strategy now, you will pay later. But that is not the only food that ages your muscles. It might shock you to learn that the very foods marketed as healthy are some of the worst offenders when it comes to muscle degradation. Whole grain cereals, fat-free yogurts, fruit juices, they dominate breakfast tables around the world, yet they spike your blood sugar and leave your body starved of the essential amino acids it needs to preserve lean muscle. Here's what most people do not understand. Elevated insulin levels triggered by high carbohydrate meals do more than affect your blood sugar. They directly interfere with your body's ability to access fat for fuel and stimulate the breakdown of muscle tissue over time. Why? Because your body is designed for survival. When insulin is high and protein is low, your body assumes you're in a state of storage, not repair. It stops focusing on preserving muscle and begins prioritizing energy storage. Think about that for a moment. You could be eating 3 times a day, never missing a meal, and still be losing muscle every single week because your meals are sabotaging your physiology. And yet, no one tells you. No doctor pulls you aside in your 40s or 50s and says, "Hey, Let's talk about how much muscle you're losing. No dietitian warns you that eating the wrong type of calories while skipping high-quality protein might leave you too weak to walk unassisted by the time you reach 70. What if what you eat every day is silently aging your muscles? This is not fear-mongering. This is biological truth. Look at the data. After the age of 40, adults can lose between 3 to 5% of their muscle mass each decade. That means by 70 years old, you may have lost 1/4 of your body, or total muscle, even if your weight stays the same. The scale lies. Fat replaces muscle, strength disappears. And with it goes your metabolic health, your bone density, your immune resilience, even your brain function. Yes, your brain. Because studies show that skeletal muscle acts as an endocrine organ. It sends signals to your brain that affect cognition, mood, and inflammation. Lose muscle and you lose more than strength. You lose clarity, you lose focus, you lose your edge. And still, we go on eating like we always have, thinking that yogurt and bananas and orange juice will keep us young. But these foods, high in sugar and low in protein, are part of the silent epidemic of muscle loss that is ravaging the modern world. And don't think plant-based equals safe either. If you're not getting the right amino acids, especially leucine, you're not sending the signal your muscles need to grow or even maintain themselves. Muscle is a use it or lose it tissue. And it's not just about exercise. You can work out every day and still lose muscle if you're underfeeding your body or feeding it the wrong things. Think about that. Is it really possible to reverse this, even past 70? The answer is yes, but not if you keep doing what you're doing. You have to understand that muscle is built, not found. It's built through intention, with every bite you take and every step you move. But if only it ended there. There's something else almost no one knows. What almost no one realizes is that even when you think you're getting enough protein, your body may not actually be absorbing or using it properly. This is the hidden trap of aging, something scientists call anabolic resistance. As you get older, your muscles become less responsive to the muscle-building signals that protein should trigger. So while a 20-year-old might stimulate growth with just 15 grams of protein, someone at 60 might need double that, 30 or even 40 grams in one sitting, to achieve the same effect. But who's telling you that? Who's explaining that your protein requirements don't just increase with age, but also with stress, with illness, with poor sleep, with inflammation? No one. And so people continue undereating the one nutrient that could protect their muscle, reverse their fatigue, and restore their strength. Think about how many elderly people eat toast with jam for breakfast, soup and crackers for lunch, maybe a piece of fruit for dinner. It's a low-protein, high-carb disaster, and it's killing their muscle day by day. This is why sarcopenia often ends in tragedy. Not because of age, but because of ignorance, because the system isn't built to educate or empower. It's built to medicate after the damage is done. But that's not how you stay strong. That's not how you live independently. You need to act now, when your body can still respond. And if you're still here, still listening, that means you're serious. You're ready to reclaim your health and take back your strength. So let me ask you, when was the last time you felt truly strong? Not just not weak, but powerful, energized, capable. You deserve to feel that way again. And the first step is understanding that protein isn't just a macronutrient. It's a signal to your body to build, to repair, to thrive. Without that signal, you decay. Slowly, silently, tragically, but there is a way back. The next time you plan your meals, ask yourself, is this feeding my muscles or just filling my stomach? Because fullness is not the same as nourishment. Feeling full is easy. Building muscle is a science. And once you start to see food through that lens, everything changes. So if you haven't already, subscribe now. Not just because it helps the channel, but because it gives you access to weekly truth that could transform your life. You deserve the full picture. and we're just getting started. But unfortunately, nutrition is only one side of the coin. Because, as important as nutrition is, there's another silent killer of your muscle mass that almost no one considers: inactivity. And no, I am not just talking about sitting too much, though that certainly plays a part. I am talking about something deeper. I'm talking about the fact that your muscles are not just shrinking from what you are not eating, but from what you are not doing. The human body is designed to move, to resist gravity, to bear weight and overcome it. But modern life has stripped that away. You wake up and sit. You drive and sit. You work and sit. You relax and sit. And the few minutes of walking or standing in between are simply not enough to send the powerful biological signals your muscles need to stay alive. Your muscle cells are listening all the time, asking, am I still needed? Should I stay active, or is it safe to shut down? And every hour you spend in stillness sends the same answer: no, you are not needed. So your muscles do what any efficient system would do: they reduce themselves, they atrophy, they shrink, they conserve energy for survival, not strength. And here's the truly terrifying part: it happens fast. Research shows that just 10 days of bed rest in healthy older adults can lead to a loss of over 3 pounds of muscle. And this loss can take months or even years to fully recover. So imagine what happens over decades of mild chronic inactivity. Even without illness, even without injury, just life, quiet, comfortable, sedentary, that is the death sentence for muscle. And it is so deceptive because it hides behind your routines. You might still be doing chores, still going to the grocery store, still living what feels like a full life. But your muscles see something different. They see understimulation, they see underuse, and they respond accordingly. They fade. And here is the most painful truth of all. Once your muscle mass drops below a critical point, your body's ability to recover disappears. You lose what researchers call your reserve, the buffer that protects you from frailty, from falls, from long hospital stays. Lose too much muscle, and even minor illnesses become life-threatening. A simple flu, a short hospital stay, a few missed meals, and suddenly you are in a downward spiral with no strength to stop it. But it does not have to be that way, because the solution is not extreme. It is not spending hours in the gym. It is about sending the right signal every day with the right kind of movement. Resistance, intention, effort. Your body needs to be reminded that you are still here, still strong, still fighting. But most people never hear that message. No one tells them. No one shows them, so they assume weakness is inevitable. It is not. Strength can be rebuilt, and that is what we will uncover in the next part. But the real question is, why is no one talking about this? Why is no one warning us that muscle loss is one of the most dangerous conditions linked to aging, yet almost entirely ignored in mainstream conversations about health? Think about it. When was the last time you heard your doctor, your pharmacist, or even a wellness influencer say, "Let's make sure we protect your muscle mass as you age"? Probably never. Instead, the focus is always on blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and while those are important, they're all affected by your muscle mass. That's right. Muscle is not just about movement or vanity or strength. It is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. It controls how you handle glucose. It supports your joints. It reduces systemic inflammation. It produces myokines, special chemical messengers that regulate everything from fat metabolism to brain health. Lose muscle, and your whole system destabilizes. That is the brutal reality, and yet we treat muscle like it's optional, like it's just for bodybuilders and athletes. Nothing could be further from the truth. Muscle is your insurance policy for life. It is your reserve engine when you're sick, your shock absorber when you fall, your immune defense when you're exposed to disease. Your very survival depends on it. But here is where it gets worse. Even the medical community often fails to diagnose sarcopenia until it's too late. Why? Because it happens gradually, silently, a slow erosion of strength. You lose the ability to get up from a chair without using your hands. You start struggling to carry groceries. You avoid stairs. Each small moment feels like normal aging, but it's not. It's pathology. It's a preventable, measurable, reversible decline. And the reason most people do nothing is because they've never been told it's happening. Or worse, they believe it's too late to change. But that's a lie. You can regain muscle. You can restore strength, even if you're 60, 70 or older. The key is to act with urgency, with clarity and with the right tools. We will talk about the essential forms of resistance training in upcoming parts. But first, we need to explore one of the most dangerous myths in modern nutrition, the idea that fat is the enemy. Because while low-fat diets were once the gold standard of health, they've led millions to underconsume the very hormones and nutrients that protect muscle tissue and prevent age-related muscle loss. But more on that soon. For now, just ask yourself, if muscle is this essential, why is it the last thing we think about? Because somewhere along the way, we were trained to fear fat, to chase low-calorie everything, to strip our meals of the very ingredients that once kept our grandparents strong and functional well into old age. And it all began with a single flawed belief that dietary fat leads to body fat. But science has shattered that myth. Fat is not your enemy. In fact, the right kinds of fat are critical for maintaining muscle, especially as you age. Without fat, your hormones suffer, your testosterone declines, your estrogen balance shifts, and without healthy hormone levels, your muscle-building machinery begins to fall apart. Fat is not just a fuel, it is a foundation. Saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, even some forms of cholesterol, they are essential building blocks for the hormones that regulate strength, metabolism, mood, and cellular repair. And yet, for decades, we've been told to fear them. We were sold fat-free everything. Fat-free yogurt, fat-free milk, fat-free cheese, all pumped full of sugar to compensate. The result? A global explosion in insulin resistance, inflammation, and yes, accelerated muscle loss. Because when your blood sugar is constantly spiked by low-fat, high-carb diets, your body becomes inflamed. And inflammation is like acid for your muscles. It corrodes your tissues, disrupts your repair signals, and turns every anabolic process into a catabolic nightmare. You feel tired, you feel weak. You start avoiding physical effort, not out of laziness, but because your body literally cannot generate the strength. And here's the tragedy. All of this can be reversed simply by reintroducing healthy fats like olive oil, avocados, grass-fed butter, wild-caught fish, and pasture-raised eggs. These are not indulgences, they are medicine. But the food industry doesn't profit from simplicity. It profits from confusion, from processed replacements, from pills and powders. And so the truth gets buried. But now you know. You know that fat is not the villain, it's the missing key. Still, understanding fat is just one piece of the puzzle. The bigger picture includes something even more sinister, a hidden trigger that silently turns off your body's muscle-building switch no matter how much you eat or how often you move. A trigger that is present in almost every meal the modern world consumes. A trigger we'll uncover in the next part. And if you've been following this journey and feel that fire growing inside, the hunger to reclaim your strength and break the cycle of decline, then now is the time. Subscribe, not just for another video, but for your future, for the knowledge that could protect your body when the world won't. We're only halfway through, and the most shocking revelations are still to come. Because even with the right movement and the right fats, There is one ingredient that could sabotage everything, a compound so common that it is found in almost every meal in the Western diet, so insidious that it silently hijacks your body's ability to build or maintain muscle. That compound is refined sugar. Now, this is not just about gaining weight or ruining your teeth. This is about what sugar does deep inside your cells, how it triggers chronic inflammation, how it spikes your insulin, how it creates metabolic chaos that leaves your muscles starving even when you are eating. Every time you consume refined sugar, your blood sugar rises rapidly. Your pancreas rushes to produce insulin. Insulin, in moderation, is helpful. It transports nutrients into cells, including amino acids into muscle tissue. But in excess, it becomes destructive. Chronically elevated insulin levels lock your body in a fat storage mode and shut off the hormonal signals for muscle repair and growth. And over time, this leads to something far worse: insulin resistance. That is when your body stops responding to insulin signals and your muscles are no longer able to absorb the nutrients they need. It's like trying to fuel a car with the gas cap glued shut. The energy is there, the fuel is available, but it cannot get to where it is needed, and your muscles suffer. They begin to shrink. Your recovery time increases, your energy plummets. And because sugar is so addictive, you keep going back to it over and over, unaware that it is the very thing accelerating your decline. But sugar doesn't just attack your metabolism. It also interferes with your mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside every cell. Mitochondria are essential for energy production, and muscle cells have thousands of them. But refined sugar overwhelms them, creating oxidative stress, damaging their function, and ultimately leading to mitochondrial death. When your mitochondria die, your cells cannot produce energy. You feel exhausted, weak, mentally foggy, and worst of all, your muscles no longer have the capacity to function, let alone grow. This is not aging, this is not genetics, this is biochemical sabotage, and it is reversible, but only if you recognize the role sugar plays in your decline. Imagine the strength you could regain if your cells could finally breathe again, finally fuel themselves properly. Imagine reversing the fatigue, the soreness, the weakness. But that is not the only toxin hiding in your food, because what we are about to reveal next is something even more damaging, something marketed as healthy, yet more devastating to muscle health than sugar itself. And that healthy toxin is none other than vegetable oils. Yes, the so-called heart-healthy oils you've been told to cook with: canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil. These ultra-processed seed oils are anything but natural, and their rise has mirrored the explosion of modern degenerative disease. But what few people realize is how these oils specifically devastate your muscles. Let's start with the chemistry. These oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids, especially linoleic acid. And while your body needs a small amount of omega-6 to function, the modern diet overloads you with it. The average person today consumes over 10 times the amount of omega-6 that our ancestors did. What does that do to your muscles? It floods your cells with inflammation, chronic silent inflammation that doesn't show up on a thermometer but burns through your tissues like wildfire. Inflammation breaks down muscle fibers, it weakens your joints, it slows recovery. But the damage goes deeper. These oils are oxidized during manufacturing and again during cooking, especially when heated to high temperatures. That means you're consuming molecules that are already rancid, already chemically unstable, and they embed themselves into your cell membranes, into your muscles, into your organs. Your body literally uses these broken fats to build new tissue, and the result is structural weakness at the cellular level. Think about that. Every bite of healthy vegetable oil is building you from the inside out with damaged bricks. Over time, this leads to weaker muscles, more aches and pains, greater susceptibility to injury, and lower resilience to stress. And it gets worse. These oils also impair your mitochondria, the same powerhouses we talked about earlier. The oxidative stress they produce disrupts mitochondrial DNA, reducing your energy output, your strength, and even your brain function. Now imagine combining that with refined sugar. That is the modern diet, a perfect storm of muscle-destroying inflammation, hormonal chaos, and mitochondrial dysfunction. And it is no accident. It is engineered this way. Cheap ingredients, long shelf life, highly addictive, highly profitable, and deeply toxic. But you can opt out. You can choose ancestral fats like olive oil, ghee, coconut oil, and even grass-fed tallow. Fats your body recognizes and knows how to use. And when you do, something incredible happens. Your energy returns, your strength improves, your recovery accelerates. Because you're no longer at war with your food. But here's the truth, even if you fix your diet, if you do not move, if you do not train, your muscles will continue to wither. Nutrition is only half the battle. What you do with your body every day matters even more. And in the next part, we'll uncover the most powerful, overlooked type of exercise for reversing age-related muscle loss. Something so simple, so accessible, yet so misunderstood that most people ignore it until it's too late. If you've made it this far, it means something inside you refuses to accept decline. Honor that voice. Subscribe to this channel. You deserve the truth. Because once you've cut the sugars, eliminated the inflammatory oils, and fueled your body with the right nutrients, the question becomes, what now? What can I do today at this very moment to actively rebuild what was lost? And the answer lies not in hours of cardio, not in punishing workouts at the gym, but in one of the most underrated and most effective types of movement for anyone over the age of 40, resistance training. Yes, lifting things, moving weight, challenging your muscles with just enough tension to signal them that they are still needed, that they are still alive. Now, if the word resistance training makes you picture barbells or intense bodybuilding routines, stop right there. Because the truth is, effective resistance training can begin with your own body weight, with bands, with small dumbbells. What matters is not how heavy the weight is, but how consistent the stimulus is. Every time you contract a muscle under load, you send a message to your nervous system. Preserve this. Every time you perform a controlled squat, a push-up, a resistance band row, you're activating genetic programs designed to protect and build tissue. You're telling your body to keep what matters, and the response is profound. Increased strength, yes, but also improved insulin sensitivity, better hormonal balance, deeper sleep, higher energy, reduced anxiety, sharper memory. Because muscle is not just a tissue, it is a metabolic organ. It secretes myokines, powerful anti-inflammatory molecules that impact your brain, your heart, your immune system. Muscle is medicine, and yet the average adult loses as much as 8% of muscle mass each decade after the age of 40. Why? Because they stop challenging their bodies. They stop moving with intention. They fall into the modern trap of convenience, of chronic sitting, of constant stress with no physical outlet. And then, one day, they fall, and they don't get up. But it doesn't have to be this way. Even at 60, 70 or beyond, resistance training can rebuild lost muscle. It won't turn you into a bodybuilder, but it can give you back your balance, your confidence, your independence. Just 2 or 3 sessions per week, targeting major movement patterns like pushing, pulling, squatting and hinging, can transform your physiology. But it must be paired with rest, with protein, with time. Because building muscle is not just about effort, it's about recovery. Sleep becomes your most powerful anabolic window, hydration becomes your ally, and patience becomes your secret weapon. The body adapts, slowly at first, then dramatically. And the best part? You don't need permission. You don't need to join a gym. You just need to start. Because movement is not optional. It is the language your body understands best. And in the final part of this journey, we'll uncover how to bring it all together. The nutrition, the training, the mindset, and reveal the most overlooked factor in lasting strength and vitality. But first, if you haven't already, take 1 second now and subscribe, because what comes next could change how you age forever. And now everything must come together, because you can eat clean, move often, sleep deeply, and hydrate perfectly. But if one thing is missing, none of it will hold. That missing piece is not a supplement. It is not a new workout. It is not another diet tweak. It is purpose. Without it, the strongest body eventually collapses. The clearest mind begins to drift. The most disciplined habits fade away. Purpose is the fuel behind consistency. It transforms a simple walk into a ritual, a healthy meal into an act of care, a workout into a commitment to life. Purpose gives meaning to the struggle, and without meaning, even the best strategies fall flat. Look at those who age with grace and strength. They do not just follow routines, they live with intention. They teach, they serve, they build, they love. They wake up with a reason to keep going, and biology rewards them. Because purpose is not a motivational quote, it is a biochemical force. It regulates your stress hormones, it boosts your immune response, it enhances neural pathways and builds resilience from the inside out. So now ask yourself, what are you holding on to? What drives you to become stronger, not just physically, but fully? Is it the ability to lift your child or grandchild without pain? Is it the chance to travel, to dance, to wake up at 70 feeling sharper than you did at 50? Or maybe it is simply the will to reclaim control after years of decline. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: aging is guaranteed, but suffering is not. Weakness is not inevitable, it is optional. You have already learned what weakens you. You have identified the foods, the habits, and the beliefs that rob your strength. You know that sugar, processed oils, and inactivity are silent destroyers. And you know the path back: resistance training, complete proteins, deep sleep, sunlight, movement, and above all, commitment. But knowledge alone does not transform, action does. And you can begin now, without permission, without waiting for the perfect moment. Because even one act of strength, one real decision, can shift the trajectory of your life. The longer you delay, the more the body adapts to weakness. But the sooner you move, the sooner your body begins to heal. So do not wait. Decide today that you will not be one of the silent millions surrendering to time. Your body can still heal. Your strength can still return. Your best, most powerful years may still be ahead, but only if you act. So if you have not yet, subscribe now. This is not just about information, it is about transformation. A quiet but powerful refusal to accept slow decay. You are not done, you are not broken, you are rebuilding. Starting today. Because the fight for strength is the fight for your life, and it is one you can win.